Hey everyone, welcome back into another episode of Winning Bets. I'm your host Jason Mattis. Thanks for having me along for the ride. You can follow me at Twitter at Lock of the Day One. That's at Lock of the Day One. I wanted to give you guys an update after round one. What an exciting round one! It felt good to be watching somewhat of some sports again last night. Some of those corners that were taken, that was quite surprising. Some of the linemen, the first lineman that was taken, that was a little surprising. But let me give you guys an update of where we stand on our real bets and our fantasy bets. And then there's another actually NFL draft challenge today for $5,000, 6 questions. So we'll get those answered for you. We'll try and win that money. In terms of my real bets, we went 2 for 3. We've got 4 bets out there total. One of them hasn't cashed yet or lost yet as well. The two that won, we've got Tua over 3.5 for his draft selection. We've got over 5.5 for Justin Herbert and his draft selection. And the one we lost, Isaiah Simmons, under 6.5 for his draft selection. That one was a good bet when we made it. Looking at all the mocks a couple weeks ago, but man, leading up to the draft yesterday and 2 days ago, I was nervous about that pick. The mocks had kind of changed. The Giants went from drafting a defensive player to drafting a tackle, and that made Simmons slide past the 6.5 slot, so we lost that bet. Given that though, we're up $2 profit. We've got $2 profits given the 2 bets that we have won. And if we can get DeAndre Swift to be drafted before Jonathan Taylor today, then we'll go up to a total of $48. So either way, we got a little bit of profit, but let's get Swift drafted before Taylor and have a nice $48 in our pockets. As for the free fantasy games that we played, we went 3 for 6 in the Fox Bet Super 6 Challenge and 7 for 10 in the Yahoo Challenge. I think I saw in the Yahoo one there were 9 people that got all 10 questions right. So congrats to those 9 people that are splitting the $2,000. And then on the Fox Bet, there were, I think it was 97 people had gotten all of that right, and they're each getting like a little under $11, maybe a little over $11. So that's where the today's competition though is today on the Fox Bet Super 6 app as well. Another one where it's just 6 questions, mix of round 2 and round 3 questions. I've already studied all the mock drafts for you guys. This is how it should go. So let's lock these in and let's win that $5,000 together. The first question, and we'll kind of answer the first two kind of in tandem here. They've got the first one is how many quarterbacks will go in round 2, and then they've got who will be the first quarterback drafted in round 2. The mock drafts I studied, more times than not, there was not a quarterback gone in draft 2 or in round 2, so I selected that answer as none. The ones that did have a quarterback, I'll go ahead and let you know if you're gonna make this selection on the app. And actually, let me pull it up here real quick. I'll get them for you while I'm answering this. But the box that I did I saw Jacob Eason was mocked to the Colts. I saw Jalen Hurts was mocked to the Seahawks. I saw Jalen Hurts also mocked to the Patriots, and then also a little bit of another surprise. I saw Jalen Hurts was mocked to the Steelers. I guess it shouldn't be too much of a surprise. They do need to move on past Big Ben eventually, and he will retire at some point, I think, in the near future. So not a too surprise. I think more of when we get to the third question, based on what I'd seen on some mock drafts, is the reason why Jalen Hurts being mocked to the Steelers was a little bit of a surprise there to me there. So if you're going to answer this question going no quarterback drafted, obviously that's how I've got it answered based on question number 1 with no QBs going in round 2. The selections are Eason, Hurts, Fromm, Perkins, or then any other quarterback. If you're gonna go off the mock drafts and the research that I've done, Hurts is the most common answer if they do have a quarterback being drafted. But don't forget, the most common answer is no quarterbacks drafted in round 2. So that's how I've got that one, 0 and none. The third question here on the Fox Bet Super 6 Challenge for $5,000 is the position the Steelers will draft first in round 2. They're currently sitting at pick 49. I saw majority of not. It was running backs, and it was either Dobbins or Taylor was far and away the more likely that they're going to pick was the running back position with it being Dobbins or Taylor. I saw one running back. I saw one linebacker. I saw one edge, which I assume for this question they'll count that as the defensive line. And then I saw that quarterback. I saw Jalen Hurts. So I've gone ahead and selected running back. Only 7% of the people there are got it selected right now as running back. The next question here is which college will have most players drafted? This one's weird because they give you Alabama, LSU, Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State, and then any other school. And any other school doesn't have the tie option. So I'm not too sure what's going to happen if this one's going to be in a tie. And the reason I say that is in my research, Bama has 4 players, LSU has 4 players, and Clemson has 4 players. And that's when I look at mock drafts or best available. We know that there's going to be 74 players selected in rounds 2 and 3 based on the comp picks now. So there's more than just 32 picks starting in round 32. Each of those universities had 4 players. I just don't know what they're going to do if there's a tie with that question. I've gone ahead and selected Clemson because it had a couple more players on the fringe that maybe could jump into day 2 of this NFL draft. Bama would be the most likely next school to have a player, to give them a 5th player drafted in day 2. I've got Clemson. Can't argue if you go Alabama or LSU. They're all tied at 4 between the mocks and the best players available. Let's just hope there's not a tie for that question. The next selection is more defensive players or offensive players in round 3. Went through my mock draft, so there's 42 selections available in round 3 due to the comp picks. Through my mock drafts, I had 23 defensive players, 23 defensive players, a 20, a 20, a 25, and a 22. So we know when there's 23, that's only going to lead to 19 offensive players. When there was 25 defensive players, obviously going to be 17 offensive players. 22 is going to be 20. So the gap, even though I did find 2 mock drafts that had more offensive players, there were more mock drafts that had defensive players, and then those mocks had a wider margin between the defensive and the offensive players. So I went ahead and selected defense for that one. That one there is, again, actually, they do give you a tie for that option, but never saw a tie, and not that I didn't see close. I mean, 20 and 22 is pretty close. But go ahead and take defense on that one. And then the last question is, which conference will the final pick of round 3 come from? This one's tough. So here, this is another one where it's combination of mock drafts and best player available. I'll just go ahead and read them off to you here how I've got it. I've got it as Mel Kiper's 74th best player was a defensive end out of Utah. Daniel Jeremiah's 74th best player available was a safety out of Texas. Dane Brugler's 74th best player was an edge rusher out of Notre Dame. And then for a mock, I had a wide receiver out of Michigan. Another mock had a running back out of Memphis. I had a safety out of California. Had an offensive lineman out of Clemson. And then an offensive lineman out of St. John. So as you can see there, other than the Pac-12 with Utah and California with 2, the next one that's leading is any other conference right there at St. John. We've got Notre Dame and Memphis. That one's got 3 actually. And then, each one of the Power Fives each picked up 1 there with Michigan and Texas and Clemson. So I'm going to go ahead and take every other conference. I've got, like I said, between Notre Dame, Memphis, and St. John. That gives me an advantage there. Any other conference, too. I like the majority of the options there with that one. So I'm going to lock in there with any other conference. Just to recap, how many QBs going in round 2? 0. So that means who's the first QB taken in round 2? I've got none. The Steelers are going to look to draft the running back position with their first pick in round 2. The college with the most picks, go ahead and lean Clemson. More offensive or defensive players, go with the defensive side of the ball. And the conference to be the last pick in the round 3, go ahead and take that one, any other conference. All right, guys, let's have a bounce back day. Let's win some free money. And let's also win some real money. Add it to our $2 that we've already won. Let's get DeAndre Swift going before Jonathan Taylor. Guys, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. We'll come out with some more content. Fox Bet is doing another challenge on the final day, Saturday. So we'll come back for that. We'll recap our winnings, and we'll get those picks out there. Enjoy the draft today. You can find me on Twitter @WinningBetsPod. That's @WinningBetsPod. I'm Jason Mattis. We'll see you next time.